Well, it looks like we've reached the end of another era. The second chip on the DC Universe app that came out before HBO Max and Warner Brothers did all their crap. Second one has ended. The first one was Swamp Thing because of weird tax reasons, and now after an ever-shifting climate of whatever's going on, Stargirl has reached its finale. Is Doom Patrol going to follow? Is Titans going to follow? Those are both on their fourth season at this moment. Harley Quinn, we know, is kind of safe for the moment because it's an animated show. But don't be surprised within the next couple of months we see Doom Patrol and Titans are both done. Look, the tides are shifting. We could get into a bunch of backstory for what happened to Stargirl and why it was canceled. Easily just James Gunn taking over, the new regime making things different. It could easily be the end of the CW. It could easily be that The Rock said, I have to use all the JSA characters. We can't have other JSA characters elsewhere. It could be Jeff Johns losing favor with DC. The truth is, Stargirl was from an era that doesn't exist anymore, and it is just like a holdover from two different administrations, so it's weird that it even made it this far. And it's pretty cool that it made it this far, because the first season of Stargirl is, in my opinion, the best first season of any of these superhero shows ever. That and Doom Patrol, I think, solidified that regime's potential to make something great. The second season of Stargirl, I enjoyed a lot. It took a lot of ideas. It did some that were good. It did some I didn't really enjoy. Overall, it was a really solid season. But the third season, I have to say, it was my least favorite of the three seasons, which is the one we're talking about today. I have done episodic reviews for the rest of the other seasons. This one I couldn't do because, one, my schedule is already booked up doing other shows in that time. And it was just like, it just dropped. It came out beginning of August, the end of August, I should say. And then it just aired, and nobody was talking about it, and there's no buzz around it. Like, sitting here to talk about it now, it even feels weird to do that. Just because nobody has really been talking about this show. Which is a shame, because Stargirl getting 3 seasons in this weird climate we're in is kind of impressive. I will say, this season is pretty basic, and I don't think it goes into a lot of great directions. First off, I want to get it out of the way. The costuming is immaculate. I think it looks really good, and the fight choreography is next level. Some of the best on television. That stuff all looks fantastic. Like, the show knows how to maintain its budget, use itself well, execute the moments perfectly. It's been doing that since day one. Right here at the end, it's still like, we know what we're doing. We know what we're up against. We can make this entire idea work. And I think what really hindered this from being great was the serialized nature of, like, the season breaking into parts. The first little bit is like, oh man, who killed the gambler? The middle bit's like Infinity Inc. for some reason. The end bit is very rushed with what we're actually setting up. But to say that, they do take some chances I wasn't expecting for a show like this. You're not seeing any larger pictures in the DC universe playing with characters like Director Bones, or Obsidian, or the Ultra Humanite. Like, those are characters that's like, why isn't anybody using them? They seem pretty easy to play with, right? But I guess it's insanely cool that this show could just happen on television, and they could do those on television. That in itself is exciting. To see that, like, you do feel like, oh man, this is a good reveal. Like, the end of season 2 when Director Bones shows up, and then he's in 2 episodes of this season. Or at the end of an episode in this season when Ultra Humanite shows up, you're like, oh, that makes sense to what's going on. All that is really cool. All that works really well. It's very fun to see. But then it's just like, we're stalling a lot of the actual characters to get them to a certain moment. The writing doesn't flow off the tongue as well as it should. There is a lot of just treading water for a minute. And I know we have to hit the 13 episodes, but if we did 10 and maybe just budget a little bit better, I feel like we could have pushed forward with a stronger season. Because there was a couple episodes where I'm like, okay, yeah, I don't think I need to dwell on this moment for all 25 seconds of it. We're not really learning anything new or going anywhere creative. We're just trying to build emotion by having the characters repeat the same bit. And that could be a problem. There was storylines I found to be very weak this season that didn't really add to a really fun story. The Yolanda stuff felt the most like treading water to me, where she is in the same position she's been in for the past 3 years. It doesn't get fully resolved by the end, but it does set it up in a direction that is stronger, which I'm like, that is satisfactory, I guess. I think another problem the show really has this season is the overabundance of characters. We have added a lot of people to our JSA roster, and it makes you go, why didn't we just name this season the JSA? I know why Stargirl's the character, but Courtney, not that she takes a back seat, she stops being a central focus, and it's more about her existing in a world of other characters dealing with problems. She has her own problems. Her whole arc this season is kind of like the love story element, which is, it's fine. I understand the need to do that in the 3rd season. It's okay. What really just gets you bogged down is just the amount of stuff going on. You're like, okay, we have to cut back to the stuff going on with Pat here, and we have to go here where we see that Amy Smart's character is doing this with that. Okay, there's a separate team from this one doing this journey, fighting a separate villain. Let's spend time with Cameron and his grandparents. You're like, that is like 13 main characters, and it becomes really clustered up. And you really feel like there's so much going on. Does any of it really stick with you? The jokes can sometimes be funny. The acting can sometimes be strong. I don't want to say this is the worst acted season, because I don't think that by far, but the actual just like, I feel like weight of the narrative in terms of like the acting quality was bogged down by 2 things. First off, I think Seth Green taking on the voice of Thunderbolt was bad. You just notice it's his voice. Could we not get Jim Gaffigan to do it again? I wonder why. But it's such a distinctive Seth Green voice that it just doesn't sound good, and it's very annoying, and you don't like to hear it. It's too obvious. Gaffigan had a little more subtlety to it, which I liked more. And I'm sorry, Joel McHale was not the right choice for Starman, and I'm not going to say anything about what happens with that arc, but he is not an actor who needs to be in this position. You don't buy it. He is a guy who has the kind of just like attitude and look that you don't believe fits into the world he is a part of. And that is apparent in every scene he's in. And sure, stuff going on behind the scenes of his character, but it's so egregiously annoying. And maybe that's just me. Maybe I just got too much of a certain interpretation of Joel McHale in my head, but he can never really escape that, so having him try to play off that doesn't really work. There is some strong performances in here, though. I do got to say that. I do think Luke Wilson continues to show that he is an underrated performer, just being able to subtly play up that character. Trey Romano, I'm still impressed with that kid. He's very talented and very fun, and he's got a lot of great energy. Really fun to see that. Breck does good. I wish they gave her a little bit more to do, because some of like the other main characters, like Beth and Rick, it's not that they're sidelined. They just aren't like important story beats that go on with them. It's definitely more of like a Courtney and Cameron situation for a lot of it, which is not a problem. It just doesn't fit perfectly for everything going on. So some of the writing, not the best. Some of the acting, not the best. It does surprise you in some ways you're not expecting with certain characters and name drops that are impressive. Overall, there's nothing obscenely wrong with this show. It just doesn't have the same quality as the previous 2 seasons. There's a clear step down, a clear lack of direction, and a clear idea we could have been getting a season 4. But again, all the behind the scenes things happened, and the show kind of fell flat because of that. It does end on a really cool note, which definitely feels like a pickup at the end, where it feels like Jeff Johns just talking directly to you, the viewer, like the last scene in the entire show. The finale, the last 2 minutes, it feels like Jeff Johns talking directly to you, the viewer of the piece, like, don't worry. They're not taking the JSA away from me. I will be here forever. Make sure these characters are held up tight and have respect pumping through their veins. I'm going to make sure it all goes good. I'm like, okay, sure. Then you ask yourself this question. Should anybody else write the JSA aside from Jeff Johns? Because it feels like he's got a chokehold over that family for some reason. And I'm okay with that. The guy gets it. His new comic book is pretty impressive. I just wish Stargirl was as impressive as his other writings of the JSA. And look, I've said it numerous times. The first season of Stargirl is the only TV show next to Doom Patrol in this umbrella that made me cry. I cried watching the first season of Stargirl because I'm like, this is what I've wanted for so long. To have it end on such a mediocre note is upsetting and kind of sad. It could have been stronger. It did give us some cool fights. It did give us some cool costumes, some very good interpretation of characters. Again, this season, I'm not going to spoil everything. Great Sportsmaster, great Stripe, great use of Hourman and Ultra Humanite. Very fun stuff to see. But it is bogged down by the weaker points. I can't say it's the best season. It did end on a note that will satisfy you if you are semi-invested. If you want more JSA, well, guess what? Black Adam's in a whole heap of trouble, whatever the hell's going on there. This show was canceled. Don't expect them anytime soon again. That's all I'm saying. But I guess Hawkman might get a spin-off movie for some goddamn reason. Whatever. God. So Stargirl, Season 3, the finale to this era of DC Universe and the CW, I'm going to give a 7 out of 10. Now, thank you guys for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, TikTok, and Hive. And as always, I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck.